10 Weird Facts About World War II. Number 1. Born to a Roman Catholic family in Poland, Stanisława Leszczyńska, May 8, 1896 to March 11, 1974, was a midwife. During World War II, she was imprisoned at the Auschwitz concentration camp. That's where 3,000 children were delivered by her alone. Her job was to euthanize every newborn she would deliver, but she didn't have the heart to take a newborn's life and didn't comply. She didn't harm a single child. Instead, she would wrap them up in bits of paper or some pieces of cloth and hide them under the shabby blankets used by the mothers. In the endeavor to save the newborns, her life had been at constant risk. For this heroic act, the Catholic Church officially nominated her for canonization, sainthood. She is to date one of the most important figures of World War II. Number 2. Owen John Bagot is undoubtedly a legendary figure, being the only soldier in history to have downed a Japanese fighter plane with his M1911 pistol. On March 31, 1943, Bagot's squadron received orders to destroy a bridge at Pyongyang, Burma, but before they could approach their target, Japanese fighter planes intercepted their B-24 bombers. Bagot's plane was so severely damaged that he had to order his crew to bail out. As the crew were parachuting to Earth, the Japanese attacked and killed 2 of the airmen, and the injured Bagot pretended to be dead, hoping he'd be ignored. But it didn't seem to work. A plane approached very near to him, and before the pilot could open fire, Bagot shot him in the head with his .45 caliber pistol, killing the pilot instantly, and the plane crashed. Number 3. During World War II, Germans were referred to as Jerrys by the British, so the cans they had in use were named jerry cans. Jerry cans were originally engineered in Germany for military use to carry 20 liters of fuel. When the British soldiers captured jerry cans for the first time, they envied its design and engineering, as they were far better than the British models, which were leaky and unreliable. Jerry cans were reverse engineered by the Allied forces to replace their inferior models, which were called flimsies. Number 4. The Battle of Windsor. On September 7, 1939, during the initial stages of the invasion of Poland, the Battle of Windsor was fought between Polish forces and Germany. Poland historian Leszek Moszkowski narrates that about 720 Poles fought bravely against 40,000 Germans to defend their fortified line. Although a defeat was obvious, they stalled the Germans for 3 days and delayed their invasion. Number 5. Leaning Tower of Pisa. During World War II, the Allied forces found out that the Leaning Tower of Pisa was being used as an observation post by the Germans. A U.S. Army sergeant was assigned the job to confirm the news and make sure if Germans were actually present there. He found this marvel so impressive and fascinating that he decided not to destroy it. Thus, he desisted from ordering an attack. Number 6. During the German occupation of Ukraine, a football match was played between the FC Dynamo Kiev football club and a group of Nazis. The locals played far better than the Nazis and beat them in several matches. Unfortunately, the Nazis didn't like this humiliating defeat and ultimately did what they're known best for. The Gestapo got involved and all of the players were arrested and tortured, eventually killing one of them. Number 7. During World War II, Charles Carpenter was given an assignment that he wasn't really meant for. He had to fly an unarmed grasshopper as an observation pilot. He'd been dying to hunt down the juicy enemy targets he would come across during the course of his flight. Eventually, he got some assistance from an ordnance technician and loaded 6 bazookas to the wings of his planes. By the end of the war, he destroyed several armored cars, including 6 tanks. Number 8. Major Alex Castagli had been a prisoner of war for 4 years and remained in German custody until the end of the war. He never seemed to lose his fighting spirit and spent most of his time cross-stitching. He was able to add secret messages to painstaking needlework, and quite ironically, Germans could never spot his hidden messages. His Nazi captors, not knowing what the needlework really meant, put it to display for everyone to look at. Apparently, it looks pretty much normal, but the hidden message actually spelled out "God Save the King" and F Hitler. Number 9. The very first and the only direct military confrontation between the arch-rivals USA and the USSR took place on November 7, 1944, over NIS in Serbia. Since both the governments have kept the details discreet, the exact number of casualties is unknown to date. Number 10. William Bruce Bill Overstreet Jr. was an American fighter pilot during World War II. He's remembered for his famous chase of a German Messerschmitt Bf-109G, where he literally flew underneath the arches of the Eiffel Tower and shot down the enemy.